Coming to the stage, the dude from Madison is coming all the way. Give a round of applause for Tim Finnegan.
What up, people? How y'all doing tonight? Yeah! All right, well, that's what I like to hear. Well, my name's Tim Finnegan, but besides being known as Tim Finnegan, I could also be known as John Bender. I'd like to tell you guys a fucking story about a time when I was in high school. Now, I went to Shermer High School when at the time I grew up in Illinois, and it was a fucking awesome school, and I played some hilarious pranks back in high school, and I'd like to tell you guys some fucking awesome stories about that. So, I used to get suspended, I got detentions, I played hilarious pranks, even though other people didn't like my pranks, I still found them hilarious. And so now let me tell you guys a fucking story about a time that I was in a Saturday detention. So I had to go to school early in the morning on a Saturday because I got myself in trouble, got in detention, and I was there with 4 other people named Andrew, Brian, Claire, and Allison. And the principal at my high school, he was pissed off all the time. I'm like, holy shit. And, the principal's name was Mr. Vernon, and Mr. Vernon said, right when we got in, the guys and I went in the library, that was where the detention was, and when Mr. Vernon came in, he said to us, "It is now 7:06. You have exactly 8 hours and 54 minutes to think about why you are here, to ponder the error of your ways." I'm like, holy shit. And then Mr. Vernon also said to us, "Look, you're in detention now. There will be no talking, and you're not allowed to move either, and my office is right across the way, and you will leave this library door open." So, his office was across the way. We left the library door open. Once he went back to his office, the guys and I started to talk to each other, and we were disagreeing about a lot of shit, and there was a whole lot going on. We were disagreeing. We were saying shut up to each other and yelling and other shit. And then I went to the door. I took the screw out of the door, and I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to close the door. I took the screw out, and I sat back down, and then everyone else was like, "Hey, don't do that. You'll get in more trouble." And like, I don't give a shit about that. So, when Mr. Vernon heard us all yelling and swearing at each other and arguing, he came back and was like, "Hey, who the fuck closed this fucking door?" I'm like, "I didn't do it." And he's like, "Did someone take a screw out of the door?" And he was like, "Bender, did you do that?" And I was like, "No, I didn't do that." So, hey, it was just fucking weird. And then the other friends agreed that I didn't do that. We all said the same thing. And now, after that, we were all just talking and getting in arguments about some shit. And then later it was lunchtime, and at lunchtime we ate lunch, but then after lunch, my friends and I, the guys and I, tried to escape from the building. We were trying to find our way out of the school, so we went through the hallways, and I was like, "Let's go this way," but then another friend was like, "No, I think we should go through the activities hallway." And like, "No, that's not the fucking way out," but no one listened to me, and they listened to him, and then we went our way out, but we were at a dead end, so we couldn't get out. I'm like, "Oh shit, you should have listened to me." But then I was pissed off, and just like with the other guys, I ran through the hallway, I was yelling and playing even more pranks in the hallway, and then I went into the gym and played some basketball, and then Mr. Vernon was like, "Ah shit, that son of a bitch," and he was just pissed off with me. And I was in the gym, and then after Mr. Vernon caught me in the gym, he brought me to his office, but then he locked me in a small room, but then I found a way out of the room. I went to the ceiling, and then back in the library, and I collapsed, and Mr. Vernon came in and was like, "What the fuck was that noise?" And I hit him under the table. My friends were like, "There was nothing there," and it's like we went along with the noise, and then he went out again, and then all my friends and I, actually started to, have things in common that we discovered. We were talking to each other, and we were telling stories about what brought us here to detention, and I even met a girl who I dated, who I met in detention, who I didn't even think I met. I met Claire, and we were having a good time, and we were all talking about what brought us to detention, and one of the other people, Allison, told us a pretty interesting story about what brought her here. So she was like, "You want to know what brought me here?" She's like, "Yeah, I came to detention and because I had nothing better to do." And then, so yeah, we all met. I made friends when I didn't think I would make friends, and it was fucking awesome. And then right towards the end of the detention, we all collaborated on a letter that we wrote to Mr. Vernon, and I will end with this letter, which stated this: Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it was we did wrong, but we think you're crazy for making us write an essay telling you who we think we are. You see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms and the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain and an athlete and a basket case, a princess, and a criminal. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club. That's my time. Thank you for watching tonight. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you.
What a great way to start. All right.